that keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Let's go. I love talking offense, and we're going to be talking about offense in this episode. Brayden Willis, the new versatile tight end for the San Francisco 49ers, what he's going to add to the offense. If you've already watched my episode about Cameron Latou, you know what his role is going to be. If you haven't, go check it out. And then now we've got Brayden Willis that we're going to add to it and what he could add to this 49ers offense. I think there's a very specific role, and his versatility is going to be absolutely huge for Kyle Shanahan and how he expects to attack opposing defenses, because he really hasn't been able to use the full potential of the tight end position if the name hasn't been George Kittle. But I think now the 49ers have addressed tight end and what was one of the deepest positions in the entire draft, and they came away with two players that are going to be doing it in very specific roles. Is it exactly how they've been doing it in the past? No. Is it the kind of players that they've always drafted in the past? No. This is going to change things up, and Brayden Willis is a big reason why, and I'm excited to get all into this. This is going to be a fun episode. We're also going to hear from John Lynch and Kyle Shannahans just about how they talk to Brayden Willis. I think it gives some insight into not only Brayden Willis, but exactly how excited they were and where they had him on the board. I think they valued him way higher than they ended up drafting him. Getting him that late in the 7th round, I think picked 247 is a little bit later than Brayden Willis expected to go, and I think a little bit later than the 49ers expected him to go. I don't know if they thought they were going to be able to get both players, but they were able to address the tight end in a couple of areas. We talked about Cameron Latou and what he's going to add to this offense behind George Kittle. He's going to be more of that Jordan Reed kind of role, off-ball tight end who plays in the slot a lot as a power slot, who can go up and catch the ball with his strong hands. But who exactly is Brayden Willis? Brayden Willis out of Oklahoma, 6'4", 241 pounds. So a lot of size there, not much different than Charlie Warner. Charlie Warner, 6'5", 241. Ross Dwelley, a little bit smaller. Taller than Brayden Willis, 6'5", but he goes about 235. So a little bit less size than Brayden Willis. Brayden Willis is definitely fast enough, running at 4.7. We're seeing the same speed that we see out of him, that we see out of Cameron Latou. Both of them are pretty equal in speed. So these guys can both get up the seams and make plays vertically. Get up the seam means go up, the middle of the hash marks towards the safeties and get up that area between linebacker and safety and make some plays there. These guys have the speed to be able to do so. But what's really been jumping off to me about Brayden Willis is you can go back and you can watch the film and you can see how good he was at Oklahoma. He was able to make a lot of plays for them. 35 catches, 445 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's impactful. That's making plays in the red zone. And I think that Brayden Willis is going to add that aspect. But there's other aspects that he adds that fits very naturally with what Cameron Latou does. So we've seen in the past the way the 49ers have been willing to use their tight ends. Ross Dwelley, in fact, in 2019, when Kyle Shannahans was hurt, was asked to play in the backfield and play the fullback role. This year, Tyler Kroft did that some. The 49ers definitely need that within their offense. Well, Brayden Willis gives the 49ers that ability out of the tight end position. I think that's going to be one of the roles that he's going to be asked to play. If something happens to Kyle Shannahans, you can throw Brayden Willis in there and he can go ahead and get some of those snaps. He's very good at being able to play that equivalent of fullback / H-back. And I think that's one thing Kyle Shanahan's looking at. They needed to make sure they had that kind of versatility within their offense. You can't lose Kyle Shannahans and then lose that element. George Kittle, of course, can do it, but you like George Kittle to be able to be in a variety of different places, not just in the backfield. If it's a particular part of the scheme or a certain matchup that you're looking for, yeah, put George Kittle there. But if it's not, you want a guy that's able to go in there and get it done. So I think Brayden Willis is going to make a lot of sense for the 49ers there. You also want to have tight ends that have different skill sets. George Kittle is a guy that can do it all. He can block. He can catch the ball. The yak yardage is there. He's impressive in all those categories. When you're talking about Cameron Latou, he's a guy that's going to be playing in the power slot. He's going to get matched up against linebackers and make plays and be able to sit down in zones and snatch the ball in the air. That's where he's going to be successful. And then Brayden Willis is going to be a guy that you can couple with George Kittle in move situations. You can put him off ball, motion him across the formation. You can use him in wham blocking. You can use him in plays where you waggle or you stretch the pocket and move to the other side. When you come out the other side on an outside zone, there's lots of ways to use him. And I think his matchup with Kittle and with Latou is kind of where the 49ers have finally figured out the exact formula they want to tied in. I think they tried to do this in 2020. Ross Dwelley was coming off a really good season for the San Francisco 49ers, and they were having a lot of success with him and George Kittle on the field. They lost their blocking tight end, but they brought in Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed was going to play a very specific role. He was going to be a power slot. He was going to sometimes come off the ball with George Kittle off ball in sort of that H-back look or that wing look, and he was going to get vertical. But for the most part, he wasn't going to be as involved in those areas. Well, they decided at some point to get Charlie Warner, and Charlie Warner came in as that blocking tight end. Charlie Warner is very good at blocking. He's one of the best in the league and definitely one of the best in the division at blocking at the tight end position. But he's a liability when it comes to catching the football. He has not been able to somewhat grow into what they believed he could be. They spent a 6th-round pick. He's out of Georgia, and we've seen him get open. We just haven't been able to see him consistently make plays in the passing game. And we know that's what the 49ers are getting. So what they are trying to do is they're trying to get the best of both worlds. You get Cameron Latou to fit the Jordan Reed role, which Kyle Shanahan has wanted within his offense, and he could see the matchups it's going to be able to create because you added Christian McCaffrey to your offense. Once you added McCaffrey to go with Debo, you decided that, hey, it's better for us to go against base sets. So having 2 tight ends on the field definitely benefits our playmakers as far as matchups. So you get that role. But now you need somebody that can hybrid and be versatile enough to play the Charlie Warner role, which is block very well in the run game, come in with George Kittle with his 4th and 1 and absolutely light up somebody and get a move on. And you need somebody that can also do what Ross Dwelley did and be able to play fullback and yet still be impactful in the passing game. That's what they think they found with Brayden Willis. And that's what I think they found as well. Does his blocking need to continue to get better as far as movement at the point of attack? Point of attack being, hey, we're running at you. You've got to be able to move your defender away from the football and away from the line of scrimmage. Yes, that is something he can continue to get better at. All players can. That's one of the things. These players that are coming out of the draft are not finished products. But you can see what their potential is. You can see how they fit within your system. And Kyle Shanahan has a real vision for what he sees with Cameron Latou and with Brayden Willis and how they fit in his offense and how they fit with George Kittle. And that's what's going to be so fun. We've got 2 absolute weapons that the 49ers are adding to the tight end room with George Kittle. You throw in the other elements to their game, there's possibility to have 3 tight ends on the field and all 3 guys very dangerously. How exactly our defense is going to be able to approach the 49ers in those situations. Now, it's not always the best because you don't want to pull a Kyle Juszczyk off the field. He's dynamic. But now when you go 3 tight ends, it's the best passing tight ends that you've had in the regime of the San Francisco 49ers with Kyle Shanahan at the helm. Because, yes, it would have been good with a healthy George Kittle, Jordan Reed, and Ross Dwelley. But I think they believe they're upgrading at the position with Brayden Willis over Ross Dwelley. And if you watch his ability after he catches the football, it is definitely superior to Ross Dwelley. He's better after catching the football. He turns into a runner and he's able to make plays. He's able to reach out, get to the end zone. He runs through arm tackles. He's fun to watch. So the 49ers went out and added 2 playmakers, but 2 entirely different playmakers and players that are completely different from George Kittle. So getting back to what Kyle Shanahan thought he was going to do in 2020. He had drafted Juwan Jennings, and Jennings was definitely going to be a huge part of their offense because he was going to be able to get nickel sets out there. And what was the league going with? These small nickel corners that Juwan Jennings could take advantage of. He's over 6'2". He's over 215 pounds. And now we've seen that somewhat change, right? Last year, Jimmy Ward played played nickel from a safety role. Safeties are coming into the box. We're getting more fast, athletic linebackers. Things are changing up a little bit. So you have to be willing to change with the times. As teams go to this, you go another way. Cameron Latou is one of those answers, and so is Brayden Willis. Brayden Willis is going to give the 49ers the option to be able to have a 2 tight end set where they can still run the football at a high level, but still pass the football at a high level. He's going to be dangerous in play action, and I think that's going to be absolutely exciting. I'm really, really excited about what Brayden Willis is going to mean for this football team. But let's listen to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan talk about Brayden Willis on the phone.
We had you up there earlier on the board, and I know it's been a long wait, but man, it's going to be worth it. This is a great spot for you.
Brayden, what's going on, man?
Man, nothing much. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, congrats, dude. I know it's been a long wait, so I know that stuff's frustrating, man, but it's not when you go, it's where you go. And I'm shocked to have the opportunity to get you here, but you're at a place that really values you, and I really think you're going to fit well with what we do.
It's not when you go, it's where you go. And that's entirely accurate. We've seen so many players that are drafted high that end up going to bad situations and never develop into the players that everyone thought they could be. Well, Brayden Willis is coming into the exact position he should be. John Lynch mentioned they had him higher on the board, and why wouldn't you? 6'4", 241 pounds, who runs a 4.7 and can create with the ball in his hands after he catches, but also can play inline and be able to block and do very well in the run game. I think the 49ers knocked it out of the park with these 2 tight end selections. I think when you start looking at the vision at which Kyle Shanahan has put forth for the tight end position, it's very clear on what he's planning on doing and how he's planning on using these players. Will they eventually be able to help George Kittle? If George Kittle gets injured, could they step in that role between the two of them? Absolutely. But these guys are not here to take George Kittle's place. George Kittle's not going anywhere. George Kittle is the heartbeat of this team. What they've done, though, is they've added players that complement George Kittle's skills. They've added players that complement what the skill set of the other players on the offense are. This is going to be fun because Kyle Shanahan has been adding pieces now that he can use in a variety of different ways. Cameron Latou can come in and play the slot, the slot receiver. He can step off the field and Brayden Willis can come in, line up next to George Kittle, and they can run play action, or he can stay in and block and Kittle can go out for a pass, or vice versa. But they've also gotten red zone threats. Now the 49ers have 3 big bodies besides Juwan Jennings that they can use in the passing game around the goal line. Come in with 3 tight ends. Everything looks run. Big old Jordan Mason in the backfield. You can run it, or maybe you have Christian McCaffrey in there, or Deebo Samuel, and they motion out. And now they get a matchup that you're looking for in the interior. So many cool things you can do. We can sit here and go over it all day long, all the different possibilities. But I think what's fun is the possibilities that Kyle Shanahan has created for his football team because of the skill set of the players at which him and John Lynch drafted. And Brayden Willis definitely fits. I think he's going to translate very well to the NFL. He has a real intelligence and understanding of offensive scheme. He grasps things entirely quickly. And also he has pretty good route running ability. So you couple that with the fact he's definitely a willing blocker and he's pretty good at the point of attack. And I think you've got the makings for players that not only fit what Kyle Shanahan's system is all about and what Kyle Shanahan wants to do on offense, but can take it to the next level. And that's what I'm excited about. I don't know how excited you can get about 7th round picks normally, but Brayden Willis is one of those guys that gets me excited about what he could add to this offense and what Kyle Shanahan is going to do with him. And I think that's a lot of fun to think about. But thank you guys so much for watching this episode about Brayden Willis and how they're going to use these 2 tight ends. Let me know what you think about Brayden Willis and the drafting of the tight ends that the 49ers did. Are they going to be able to beat out Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelley? I am trending in that direction, and I think they're going to add something special. Let me know what you think. Also, like the video. It goes to help the channel, and it also pushes out the content all over YouTube by engaging the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time watching, subscribe. I really appreciate the subscription. I'm pushing towards 4,000 subs right now. Would love to get there before training camp. But until next time, stay safe and remember the right way is always the 49ers.